Well, a very warm welcome. Good afternoon or good evening, wherever you're watching from in the world. Could be morning, could be any time you want. To Wilton Mill, start of a new season for the IAME categories, for the X30 categories, for the Water Swift categories, their O-plate. Great to have an O-plate back at the start of the season for the IAME categories. And what better place for it than here at Wilton Mill? We shouldn't forget the Honda Cadet categories as well. They had a cracker here last year, about 12 months ago. And we're going to take a little wander through the paddock. We're not on a time limit. We can be as leisurely and chill as we can be. And we'll give you a bit of background as well from the technical perspective. Been talking to some of the drivers today. We start at this point of the circuit, which we're not going to call it the new chicane anymore because it's been around for 12 months. But some really interesting takes from the drivers earlier today, talking about how to tackle this new last chicane, particularly how to ride the curb as the track's evolved over the last 12 months since this new tarmac went down. A lot of the drivers so far this weekend telling me you've almost got to pull back a little bit on entry. If you ask too much of yourself and the kart through that part of the course, you get yourself into trouble very, very quickly indeed. We're also going to have a bit of a wander around the far side of the circuit and give a bit of a different perspective of bits down into Ashby than we would normally get on the live broadcasts. Practice ongoing at the moment. We'll give you a bit of an update on what the news is for today as we get ready for the O-plate. We'll have a little pop into Parc Fermé as well. Here you've got again Tyre Farm down at the exit of Parc Fermé. All the mechanics making sure that the tyres go back into their own tyre Parc Fermé. Same as last year, no tyres allowed out of that gate. Quite infamously 1 year ago, of course, we did see one mechanic of a front-running driver make that mistake and effectively get themselves disqualified from the meeting. So this may not look like the most exciting bit of work, but it is a very important part of the weekend for all of the teams, all of the entrants, to make sure that they're checking the tyres, making sure everything is good across the course of this weekend. Let's see who we can have a little find. I think Honda Cadet have recently finished one of their sessions. You can see a couple of the Hondas going through their checks. Good to see a well-sized Honda Cadet field here for the O-plate. As I say, their O-plate was here last year as well. It kicked off our season for the 2024 Motorsport UK British Karting season. And yeah, a number of drivers from that race, the likes of Ralphie Branscombe, they've moved on to higher classes. We've got a new crop of drivers in. But keep an eye on the likes of Luca Bicocchi. We had Luca with us at Lark Hall, if you remember, last year. So there are some drivers who have a bit of experience as well. Harry Grant's one of those drivers who was with us last year. Harry, first driver interview of the year for the Honda Cadet classes. How's practice gone for you today?
At the beginning, we were a bit slow on the pace, but then towards the end we managed to find the right setup, so now we're getting quicker and getting the pace now.
So I remember last year we had a bit of a talk to you at the start of the season, the end of the season, and what you'd learnt. Over the off season though, what have you been working on before this O-plate?
New bumpers, get an engine rebuild, and we got a kart sim so I can practice all my tracks.
And you finding it helping?
Pardon?
Is it helping?
Yes, it's helping quite a lot.
A result, what would we be happy with at the end of the weekend?
Top five, because last year I think I got 8th or 7th, but this year, if we get a top 3, that would be wonderful. Top 5, I'm happy with it.
Good stuff. Well, best of luck, Harry, and yeah, I quite like that aim, top 5. I think that's very much on the cards for Harry. As I said, he learnt a lot in the 2024 season. Let's head out into the paddock and give a bit of the news on what's been happening across the other categories, across the Water Swift categories, and and in the X30 categories as well. We'll start with Croc Promotion. I think Croc Promotion are on for a really good weekend. I'm going to be cheeky and go through the back of the awning here. George Quartermain getting ready for a practice session coming up, but a bit of a run through the news for them. Sam Branston and Gabriel Stilt both looking good early today in senior practice. Really good to see Gabriel Stilt back. His 2024 season, of course, was very much curtailed at PF International in preparation for the World Championship, so to have Gabriel back is really good. Micah Taylor, keep an eye on Micah. He was looking really good last week. Bit of pace to find so far today, but they had Wilton Mill Kart Club here last week, of course. He was looking really strong. Fred Green not in driving action today, but he won here 1 week ago, so another driver to keep an eye on. We'll have a very quick chat with George. George, feeling good for this one?
Pace not been great today, struggling a bit with our ribs and bits been falling off, but if we put it together we've got the speed, but we'll just see how we go. Struggling a bit with too much grip at the rear, but yeah, we'll see.
It's something I've heard from other drivers so far today, that the times are quick, but it doesn't feel like the track is quick. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, definitely. Last week the track was, I'd say, a bit slower, but it felt way more grippy than today. Today it's just felt a bit, I don't know, just a bit different, to be honest, but obviously times are quicker, so the track's faster.
Why do you think that might be?
I think the main reason is the mojo's not coming around from the Rotax tyre, just making it a bit different. Yeah, that's the only reason I can really think of.
Good stuff. We'll have a good run, George, and we'll keep an eye on you, how you're getting on across the course of the weekend. That's a really good point from George there about the different tyre compounds. Obviously, we've got Vegas and Comets out on circuit this weekend, and yeah, maybe the combination of the different compounds means that the circuit is feeling, and we're talking minute levels, but feeling different for the various drivers. MDL, bit of work on them. Cameron Edmonds, looking for a bit of consistency, I feel. Had a very good FP4. Of course, these are not every single free practice that we've had today has been timed. So going off 3, 4 and 5, he's looking for a bit of consistency. But they're moving in the right direction. Tristan Powell and CJ Bennett from FP3 to FP4 going the right way, going up the order. So we'll keep an eye on them. We're also going to keep an eye on this young man this weekend. George House won 1 week ago in Cremona. George, back in the UK, but I'd say the weather's better here this weekend than it was in Italy 7 days ago.
Yeah, it actually is.
And the season you've had so far, I say this is your first Motorsport UK run of the year so far, but a really strong IAME Winter Cup, bit of bad luck towards the end of it, and then a good run last week. Do you feel ready to go and feel like one of the favourites here this weekend?
Yeah, absolutely.
And you're in a big XL Motorsport awning. What's it like driving with all of these friends and all the other drivers?
It's really good, it's amazing.
Good stuff. I'll let you get back to your preparations. Mason Brooks here as well. Night Measures, Andy Stewart, Johnson Stewart. Big smiles so far this weekend amongst many of our younger drivers. So that's really good to see. We'll just hop out the way of Luca Bicocchi's number 77 in Honda Cadet coming through. We'll have a chat with Night Measures as well. Night, all ready to go. Freshly painted kart, freshly painted helmet, new Wera Tools sticker on your lid. You're looking ready, set to go, mate.
Yeah, I am. I'm confident, feeling very good and just ready to go.
Describe today for us. You know, it's the first big race of the year, at least in the UK. What has been the focus with you and your mechanic?
We just really want a top 7 result. I'd say that would be amazing for us. You know, it's my second year in, so that'd be really good for us.
And what do you think the biggest things are that you've learned in the last 12 months from last year?
I'd say just getting out in the kart as much as you can, head down, focusing the little mistakes, just trying to improve them, iron them out. I'd say that's all that, once you can sort of get them out the way, then that's the main thing.
And would you say this is a tricky circuit to get everything right? Because we come here so often, a lot of people know it quite well.
Yeah, it's definitely a tough one because there's like loads of corners. It's a really fun track, but yeah, it's definitely tough. But once you get used to it, like I say, it's good.
Good stuff. We're in a bit of a tight squeeze at the moment. It's a lot of activity going on right now. Knight, we'll catch you later on. Let's carry on up through the paddock. But yeah, there's a real sense of confidence, I think, in this Excel Motorsport awning this weekend. For those who've watched the British scene, may not know the name of Excel Motorsport as well as others, but they're still a very experienced team. A lot of team members, both on the driving side and the non-driving side of the Ollie Rowland Motorsport team, have found themselves here. And as I say, Excel Motorsport have done a lot of good work out in the Middle East. When it comes to water swift competition, they are very, very experienced, and I would not be surprised at all if we see at least one Excel Motorsport driver on the podium come Sunday. As I say, they've not just got the likes of George House in here, you've got a certain Leo Russell, number 63. Number 63 in the Russell name is back at the top of British karting. It's Leo's first time, of course, racing at this level. The son of Benji Russell. For any of us with long memories in British karting, they'll of course know that name from previous years, a previous British champion and winner of many a big race. And of course, Leo's uncle, not racing this weekend, but a certain George Russell, Russell George. And we have had a T-pose in the awning, not in the awning, in the photos that we've been doing so far today. Very, very quick roundup on other drivers, because I say there's lots of competitors here in Colby that we need to keep an eye on. Colby Patterson has moved teams, looking over some of the data. We won't look at the exact bits of the data. In fact, Piers will. He'll get in trouble for that. But look out for Colby Patterson. Had a very, very positive 2024, is staying at the water swift level, so has got that experience that sometimes can be the difference maker at this level. And just another point on George House, we had a very, very quick word with him there. I'm not going to say that George House is going to win this weekend. I'm not going to say that George House is going to win the championship when we get through the season, but it wouldn't surprise me if he did. If you're a neutral out there looking for a young driver who's going to wear their heart on their sleeve and give everything and win the right way, look for that number 77 to George House. His response after a really difficult start to the final in Valencia for the IAME Winter Cup, where other drivers might have let the head drop, the shoulders drop, he kept racing on until the checkered flag and still got a good result despite those technical problems at the start of the race. Keep an eye out for the Stewarts as well. Andy and Johnston from Northern Ireland, they're back again. And I hope they've jumped around teams a little bit over the last 12 months. And I'm really hoping they're able to get themselves into a rhythm there in the Excel awning. Mick Barrett Racing next up. I didn't plan this, ladies and gentlemen, honestly, but we've got all of the MBR machines, well, 3 or 4 of them lined up here. I think these guys are on for a really, really good weekend. George Edgar was your winner here last week. Nat Johnston has changed colours, has gone from the green of Jamie Green Racing into the red and white of Mick Barrett Racing. Has looked very, very good so far this weekend. We'll have a quick word with Nat. Nat, about to go out for another practice session.
I've just finished.
You've just finished. You've just finished your last one. Nat Johnston still getting some love for the JGR guys. You've looked rapid so far today.
Thank you very much. Yeah, it's been a good day overall. It's just feels fast, especially around this track. It just feels like it's all coming together. So yeah, it's been a good day.
And it's clearly still got a good relationship with your old team. But walk me through the reason of changing from JGR to MBR.
So last year I did the Euro Series and the British with JGR, but this year I just wanted to focus on the British, and JGR are sort of doing a lot in the European stuff. So I would have to be on my own without any teammates in England at home here. So that was the reason for the move mainly.
So it's very much a data-driven thing, and you've got 2 very strong teammates this weekend in George and Tig.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, George and Ty are both great drivers. So yeah, it's good to learn off them. They're very experienced. So yeah, it's great to have teammates like that.
Give us the secret. What have you learnt off of them that maybe you hadn't got in your locker before?
Well, definitely just overall. So when you look at the data, you can see, oh well, he's going in harder here and so on. But I think a lot of what I've learned is, I think last year I had glimpses of good pace, but a lot of what I've learned this year is more racecraft. So that's been definitely the difference this year. I think it's been a lot better.
Well, we look forward to it. Have a good one now, and we'll see you later on. There's a lot of confidence. Obviously, MBR had a really tough 2024 off track, but kept pushing on, kept delivering some great results along the way. Finished the season strong in the X30 categories in the IAME Warrior Finals. So, yeah, it feels like MBR. I know it's just free practice, but it feels like they're coming back to their best, which is really, really good to see. Geraghty Motorsport, they're going to have one of the front runners, you've got to feel, in the X30 senior category here this weekend. Cian Geraghty, very strong 2024, consistent runner in the British Karting Championships, won at Kart Masters as well. 2 top 10s so far for Cian in terms of the European season at the IAME Winter Cup and the first round of the IAME Euro Series 1 week ago in Italy. Luca Mann in this awning again as well. Alfie Brooks looking like he's on the spanners for the number 91 here this weekend. A bit of a difficult start for Luca in terms of those timed sessions, back to within around a second by the end of FP4. More juniors, a new junior as well in the shape of Finley Lines. Finley we're going to keep keeping an eye on. I often talk about this, that the inter to junior jump is the hardest. Finley Lines, how have you found it so far, stepping into the bigger machinery?
I mean, it's been tough. We did the road tax at this a couple of weeks ago, and we struggled in that. The driving standards weren't the best in the road tax, but it seems to be a bit better in the X30, and we're quicker in the X30. So hopefully we can get like a good top result this weekend.
And I know you want to win. I know you want to repeat the O-Plate victory that you had in the other categories here last year in the inter categories. But the results you've been having so far in this machinery across in Europe, it's been a positive start.
Yeah, at Valencia we're really quick in the dry. I think it was like 5th in the final, but in Cremona we struggled a bit in the wet. But so it's only 1 round, there's still 3 rounds to go, there's a lot of more opportunities to get through. But I think if we can have a good top 5 this weekend, that'll just be a positive result, and we can just go to Warden Law.
I'll just pull it out of the way so Luca Mann's number 91 doesn't run you over, Finley. Talking about the wet conditions, is that an area where you're still maybe finding out and learning a little bit when you've not quite got the grip there? You know, it's not Spain, it's not warmer conditions, and there's a little bit less mechanical grip to use?
I think obviously I've just moved up, it's a new car, it hasn't been a lot of wet this year, I'm still getting used to it. Obviously I'll improve over the time, but hopefully we can just get better and better.
Good stuff. We'll leave you to it, Finley, and thanks for your time. We often see it with drivers who move up and have very, very strong runs in the inter categories. You know, in this paddock sense, the IAME Water Swift categories. When they then move up to the junior categories, it takes them a little bit of time. Even the best of them, and again on the X30 front, I would note, not in this paddock this weekend, but the performance of someone like Jesse Phillips. Jesse Phillips, 2 seasons ago, was dominating things in what we know as the IAME Water Swift categories, the mini categories, the inter categories, whatever you want to call them. And then had a little bit, at times he was right on it in 2024 in the juniors, but at other times it was like, where's the old Jesse gone? And he's back. That's, of course, at a European level, but it shows how, as I say, I do think it is the biggest jump in karting at the moment between the inters and the juniors, and that even the top drivers takes them a bit of time. So for those seeing Finley Lines win race after race after race, podium after podium after podium, wondering where's the pace gone, he's just going through his learning phase, as all drivers do at that level. Let's kick on up further through the paddock and have a little bit of a look at things. Piers Sexton Racing back again in the pink and blue and white. They have a new driver this weekend who I don't think is around at the moment, but Spencer Braum has changed machinery, is now on a KR chassis. I think Henry's going to be, to a degree, a little bit disappointed, because it means that lovely CRG isn't on the grid for this O-Plate. We had a chat with Spencer earlier, again just finding new things out about the machinery and looking forward to the challenge ahead. Also going to be keeping an eye out in this part of the paddock as well on Harrison Morrow, who is back in O-plate action. Let's kick on up, because I want to get round to this far side of the circuit to a part of the course that I don't think we really get to see that much because of where we can place the cameras safely. But from the spectator side, from the safe side, we'll have a look at it in a minute. We will have a little quick chat with TWM. Actually, no, we won't. There's nobody in TWM. We'll move on with them. Jade Racing Team are next. Relatively known part of the world for them. Not their home circuit, of course, that's up at Shannington, but they've got some new drivers. They've got some drivers who've returned. And in the younger categories, they're looking pretty quick. They're looking competitive on the Birrell chassis. Bit of work. I was having a chat with Scott Allen this morning. Bit of work to do with the older ones. But Dimitar Uzanov in particular has been looking pretty good so far. We'll have a very, very quick chat with Dimitar because he's a new driver as well. We'll just walk with you, Dimitar, as you're going down to your next practice. Looking pretty quick so far this weekend?
Yeah.
What would you say is your strongest part of this Wilton Mill circuit?
Probably like the bit where you come into the boot, because I do like up and under overtakes. Yeah.
That's a good point, because we're about to go and look at that part of the circuit in a minute. And the kart, feeling pretty good. What have you been working on over the last couple of hours?
The back, like it's a bit sliding, so yeah, we've worked on that. It's pretty good though. It's
Good stuff. We'll let you get off, because I say they're getting into driver mode. Not competitive mode yet, of course, but still looking forward to seeing how their guys can do this weekend, and some new faces as well in the Jade Racing awning here this weekend. We're going to go. We're going to take two and head on down to the entry to the boot, because now I haven't driven this circuit for a while, and it wasn't in as machinery as quick as what we're going to see here this weekend. But even with the changes at the very end of the lap, that new chicane designed to slow the speeds down through the final corner, I would still say that one of the most, if not the most important corner on this circuit, as Dimitar was alluding to there, and we'll head down the little corner here, is the entry to the boot. Now, this part of the circuit hasn't changed. It's not quite... The reason why it's important has changed. The initial entry, still the same. You don't want to hit this one too hard. You don't want to drive in too hard and drift into the middle of the circuit, because that then tightens up the second part of the boot. You want to keep that flow going through what we call the toe of the boot and into the new chicane. Now, the new chicane, in my opinion, has reduced the amount of overtaking that we see into the final corner. But what I do think it's done is increased the amount of overtakes that we see into the boot, and also here at the toe of the boot. The toe of the boot has always been a last gasp saloon kind of corner to try and get down the inside, give your opponent no real option but to run around the outside of here, which you don't really want to do. Look how the drivers will keep it in. The number 77 there, just keeping that tighter line, keeping the speed and the track position, stopping anyone doing a cheeky little move up the inside into the next part of the boot. So you're seeing a lot more overtaking at this point of the boot, this second apex here, which is kind of last-ditch opportunities. But earlier in races, you're now starting to see more overtakes on just a more conventional outbraking scenario into the entry of the boot than perhaps you saw before, because the option for someone to then get the cut back on you late around the boot is no longer there. You often held back on the entry to the boot before on the basis that if you went lunging in, you'd bog down, you'd lose momentum, you'd lose the position you've just gained once you've gone round the third part of the boot and then prepare for the final corner. But as we see, we can see all the drivers, nobody's coming out far left here. There's a proper drop off in the curb as well, which you just don't want to be in. Everybody's keeping it tight to then keep it even tighter, of course, for the new chicane. We'll go back to the initial part of the boot. The amount of curb that you use is always important as well here at Wilton Mill. It's a flatter curb. It's more rewarding for the driver, but again, is one of those that if you hit it too early, if you clip it too early and take too much, that can throw you out, particularly in the water swift categories where there's a little bit less weight to them, of course. It'll throw them out into the middle of the course. So we'll watch again. Everybody taking a little bit of curb, keeping it tight, carrying the speed through the second bit of the boot, holding that nice line in the middle of the road there. There's a great example where you don't want to be. Austin Newstead just got down the inside of Chester Forks there. If you're out drivers left here through this part of the boot, there is nothing you can do, particularly now with the new chicane, to get your opponent back. You've got to get your work done right on the entry to the boot. You always did, but you have to do that even more now. So I hope that helps. I know Anthony Jordan did a little bit of chat around PF of some of the corners and giving you some vantage points that perhaps we don't normally see on a live broadcast sense. We're going to give you another one as well as going a little bit further up and seeing if we can find some drivers, because I wanted to talk about the Ashby hairpin as well. On the television, for me, Ashby looks really easy. It's just a hairpin. How can you get that wrong, Andrew? I'll tell you how you can get it wrong, because I've done it many, many times myself. And the big difference here is that you're going downhill. Christmas we talk about a lot as the best overtaking opportunity around this circuit. You can lean into it. You can be hard on the brakes. Get people up the inside. Here, very easy to get things wrong. You're coming through a fast right-hander down into Ashby Corner. You're trying to use the Wera Tools marker board as your reference for your braking. Here's the bit that you probably don't see on the cameras on a broadcast, is just as you start to commit into the turn, you've got a little bump. There it is with the number 23. We'll watch another kart coming through in a moment. And if you don't have the kart settled on the early part of the entry to the corner, if you try and take too much from this corner, push it too hard, gravity takes effect, that bump takes effect, and you just end up running out and having a little unscheduled meeting with the runoff. There's Harry Williams. That's spot on. Don't take too much of this inside curb as well, because this is another one. It looks flat. It looks luscious for you to get on top of. You would in wet conditions, but in conditions like today, you start trying to take this curb with all that weight heading down towards Daventry Town Centre. You just got to wash out wide and get the weight transfer completely wrong. So, as I say, there's a little bit of the more technicalities behind this Wilton Mill course that everybody knows so well as well. So it's a bit different in that regard to, say, a circuit that maybe we don't visit every single year. This place, O-Plate's here this year. The final round of the championship is here this year. You've got a very, very well subscribed kart club here as well. You have drivers who've done a lot of laps around this place. So the smallest of mistakes, particularly in qualifying sessions, as we're filming this on Friday afternoon, those qualifying sessions on Saturday morning for this one-off event, for this O-Plate, are going to be absolutely massive. Half a tenth could be the difference between a third row of the grid start and a 8th row, 9th row of the grid start. So yeah, everybody's going to be going through the motions, getting their quali prep done correctly, and then of course we've got the heats tomorrow as well, which you'll be able to view on Alpha Live. Let's spin around. Let's head back into the main paddock itself and have a further talk about some of the other teams that we've got here this weekend, and hopefully get the thoughts of some of the drivers as well. Mayan Patel's number 20 there. That again, the bit of pace to find to where they really want to be, but a very positive season in 2024 for Mayan Patel. Keep an eye on them as the weekend goes on. Daily Motorsport are here. A good number of Irish drivers in with them this weekend, of course. I'm going to do my classic thing of walking into an awning with no go-karts, so we'll promptly move on because there's nobody really for us to talk to. We'll go down the second half of the paddock and see who we can find out there, and we'll start, I think, with Evolve. Evolve have had a bit of a change around, a few new drivers. They've picked up some drivers as well in the younger categories as the year has gone from 2024 to 2025. We'll also have a bit of a catch up with, oh sorry Piers, that was my fault, I wasn't watching where I was going. We'll have a catch up with the Honda Cadets as well. Am I going to do my classic thing again and find that there's no drivers? Yes, I am. We'll move on, but in fact I'll give you the rundown whilst Piers has a little look at their awning and I sort my notes out as to what's happened. They've just gone on track. They're coming back now, so we might hang around to see what's going on with the Evolve. I'm going to use the chassis table to rearrange things in the wind. See, this is what happens when you don't get the tablet working. Yeah, Oscar Kenny, I think, is a driver that we need to keep an eye on in the Evolve awning for this weekend. Has moved teams. This is one of those drivers that we saw with Ollie Rowland Motorsport last year. They, of course, closed their operation at the end of 2024. So he stayed in the IAME Water Swift category and likes the one-off events as well. Had a very good run through some of them in 2024. Similar to what we were talking about with the likes of Colby Patterson and others in the Excel Motorsport team. Sticking around, doing another year in the Inter category. Not a bad move, if you ask me, for Oscar, so we'll see that indeed. Now Piers is having a very good look up the far side of one of the new NASA panels. Now, my good friend Anthony Jordan, all I've ever seen him talking about so far this year has been NASA panels. So I'm going to refer you all to him and some of the work that he's done, but this is one of the new ones, if I'm right in saying, as I'm going to have a little look. This is the KR one, is it not, Piers? With the more detailed inlets in and around this cooling area. That's a lot of people say, oh yes, we're looking at NASA panels for cooling. Well, I would point out that these ducts coming out the straight side of the NASA panel look very inefficient from a cooling perspective to me. How effective are they? I'm not sure. Putting my engineering hat on, I'm not sure how effective they really are. For the size of the winglets that you've got, the speed at which the karts are going, maybe on the seniors and the juniors a little bit. I'll refer back to my former stomping ground, a former student, where we have corner speeds that are similar to karting, maybe a little bit lower. Big wings. If you're going for wings, you've got to go with big wings to actually get them to get any aerodynamic effect. I am happy to be corrected if someone could show me the data. I'm on the fence with it because I haven't got the data left or right as to whether they actually work. And of course, there's always that thing of them being the latest thing to have. That's one of the older style ones on one of the cars. So this is the Ryland Ekberg number 73. Ryland knows this place pretty well. In fact, let's see if he can have a quick chat with us. If Ryland wants to have a quick chat. Ryland, work coming into this O-Plate weekend. You know this place very, very well. You know it like the back of your hand. Are you confident?
Yeah, I mean, we've had a bit of a rough day in practice, but we've managed to find a bit of speed now. It's just little areas where we just need to keep working on it because the times, they're just so close. And it's like 3 temps covering the whole field.
And we were saying that earlier about how the qualifying is going to be so important because it is so close out there. Have you been able to do any work on the quali pace today, or would that more be something for tomorrow?
Well, we did have a new tyre run, everyone did, in practice 3, so that gave us an idea, but the track's getting more and more rubbered in, so I mean, you can push a bit harder on new tyre, so we'll just see what happens when it gets to quali.
We've just been having a look at one of those, the newer 2025 NASA panels, and having a bit of a chat over whether they do work. You know, you've got one of the more conventional ones on the front of your kart. What's your opinion on them?
I mean, I don't think there's much difference between the NASA panels and everything. The new chassis, there's very little difference in my opinion, and this kart's worked for me before, so I'm just going to stick with it for now.
Keep with what you know and push on, I guess.
Yeah.
Good stuff. Thanks for chatting with us, Ron, and we'll see you very, very soon. Premium karting, bit of a joint effort this weekend in this awning. This is a Premium Karting / Argenti Motorsport awning for this weekend. A number of familiar faces are in here this weekend that we'll talk about in due course. Harrison Whittaker back again. I don't know. I'm not going to say it. I'm going to say that Harrison looked really, really quick earlier on today, and I think it had a really tough 2024. Things didn't go his way. If he had no bad luck, he wouldn't have had any luck at all. So no, he was looking quick earlier on today, and we do wish him well. Chester Forks has moved into this awning as well, which is a signing by Argenti that I think's really smart. We had a chat with Ron Meadows this time last year, and I asked him about the kind of individuals. We'll just get Piers to move a little bit this way because there's a Peugeot van behind him. Don't want him to get run over. We talked about the off-track attitude of a driver. It is the most important job indeed. And how, as an organisation, they look to bring in a driver who's going to do things the right way, shall we say, have the right attitude. I really like that they picked Chester up. He did a great work with him and his dad and his granddad last year as a privateer. Every single round of the British Kart Championships, we saw the Forks name on the podium. Didn't always win, of course. Alfie Davidson had that amazing start to the season, those 5 wins in a row. Daniel Ferguson picked up a couple across the course of the year as well, but Chester Forks was always there in that top 3, and I'm really excited to see what he can do in arguably a more equipped set of machinery. Margaris Kvetkis is back as well. This is an interesting change. Margaris, who joined us in the owner ranks last year, was in Honda Cadet, has taken the step straight into IAME Water Swift, into the Inter category. Had a great finish to 2024, of course. Margaris, how's the new wagon? Faster?
Way faster, way more fun, way more adrenaline.
This is a good place to have a first kind of big race of the season as well. It's one you know well from your Club 100 days, from a bit of Honda Cadet last year as well. How important is that familiarity when you're moving to a new piece of kit?
I feel like it's really important just because you know the track well, and even with the change of kart you can still get a grip on the track, I guess.
And the weather conditions being good as well. We've been having a look at down into Ashby Hairpin and down into the boot as well, and talking about how important it is to get those parts of the circuit right. How much are you able to take from the Honda Cadet into the IAME Water Swift in terms of knowledge, and especially when it comes to racecraft?
I feel like in terms of racecraft, they're both very hard and you just have to get in there. But in terms of driving style, they're really different.
Do you have to be a lot more aggressive, or is it the other way? You've got to be a bit smoother?
I feel like it's way more smoother and just way more late on the brakes. It's just go for it.
Good stuff. I've also noticed we had your picture taken earlier in the clubhouse, and you've changed suit again. Is the camo going to come out tomorrow?
Definitely.
So we're not going to be able to see you. You'll just be a floating jacket potato.
Yeah, literally.
Good stuff. Thanks for chatting to us, Margaris. We'll catch you up later on. I like they've kept the same livery, pretty much the same livery as they had on their Honda Cadet last year. And as I say, I've seen Margaris race for a good couple of years, coming through the arrive and drive scene. I think he surprised a lot of people in 2024, particularly that performance in Honda Cadet at the end of the season at Three Sisters. He was mega. Again, I think there's going to be a bit of a learning curve in the IAME the water swift category, faster machinery and some very, very experienced and well budgeted teams that they're going up against. So yeah, we'll see how he gets on. IPK in Praga, they're closed up for the night, it would seem. So we'll leave them tomorrow. Unfortunately, there's no Honda cadets in this part of the paddock, so we'll keep going on, but we'll try and get them tomorrow when me and Henry have a bit of a further wander around. We are coming down to the end of our paddock anyway. We'll have a little quick look into BMR and how they're getting on. Lewis Bird, I think, is going to be one of the big hopes for BMR this weekend. He had a very good run at the IAME Winter Cup. Maybe didn't quite execute the result that he deserved, but the pace is there. Very much so for Lewis Bird. Max Endicott is also a name that we want to keep an eye on across the course of this weekend. Has had a very, very solid start to the junior season. And here's number 18 over there that we'll have a look at in a moment. Here we are with the number 14 of Archie Owen. Archie doing a bit of work, getting the wagon looking all nice and ready for tomorrow's racing on the cameras.
It's always going to look nice. It's quicker when it's clean.
Talk me through practice today. How's it gone?
Quite well, I think. There's moments that were good and moments that were bad, but overall it was quite good, I think.
And this Wilton Mills circuit, we've been talking a little bit about how since they put the newer section in last year, you've got the different, almost like grades of tarmac.
Yeah.
Has the circuit had a massive change in terms of feel since 12 months ago? Is it about the same?
Well, the rest of the track's pretty much the same, but the last sector's a lot more grippy with the new tarmac and probably a bit more bumpy as well.
I say, is that level of grip, has that continued to go up and up and up, and almost get to the point where there's too much grip now in 12 months on from when it was laid?
Yeah, well, the last corner you have to move the steering wheel so gently, or else you're just going to slide. So
good stuff indeed. We'll leave you to your preps, but yeah, I think it is the general consensus with the newer parts of the course is that you've got to be careful. You can't go hamming it in there and taking all of that curb, particularly in the dry conditions, because it's almost like forces have an equal and opposite reaction. So yeah, it's going to be interesting. Fusion were back on song last year, I think, in the junior category. If we were to go as far and say that there is a heavy favourite for this weekend and for a championship, I think we'd be looking at juniors, and I think we'd be looking at the driver who finished second last year to this man. Riley Cranham is in a very relaxed, almost zen-like state. Harrison Mackey's, of course, moved to seniors. Had a good start to see. How's your cooling, by the way? I know you and Lewis have been working on the bodywork for the cooling.
Well, we don't work together anymore.
Have you sacked him?
Yeah, I've got him. Got my dad.
Have you an upgrade?
Definitely not an upgrade. Bit of a downgrade.
Talk me through today. The seniors, it's cutthroat out there. You've got to have sharp elbows. Are you happy with the practice so far?
Yeah, we've had a few mechanical problems throughout the day, but I think when we've done a lap, it's been all right. A tenth or two off, which we know in the racing that's not much. We know when we bolt some power on and put all the good stuff on, we'll be all right. But our time in senior at the moment has been going well. So.
And you've had two big meetings already so far this year at Winter Cup and last week at Cremona. Is that actually quite nice to have those two meetings? Almost get your senior wings cut before you tackle the British again. Yeah,
Winter Cup we struggled quite a bit, just because I've never been great around there. But when we went to Cremona, we didn't really do much testing before, and then we rocked up for the race and we were fast. Pole, second in group, won a few heats and everything like that. Was great to have and a good boost for to be in seniors.
I'm not going to ask what you want as a result, because I know that result's going to be P1. I'm going to ask you what you think a percentage chance of P1 this weekend is.
This weekend I think it's hard. I struggle physically around Wilton, especially in senior. Now it's a lot faster, it's a lot more physical. But I feel I'll be happy with a top 5, just because it's my first British race, and I'll be happy with a top 5.
Good stuff. Thanks for talking to us, Harrison. Always very welcome to have your time. I kind of like that attitude as well. You know, I want to win, but you know, looking to get a top 5. It's another big step up to those senior categories that we'll be keeping a track of with our X30 Junior champion from last year in this paddock. There are other drivers, of course, in the Fusion awning. We've talked about ORM and about how a lot of their drivers have mainly gone into the XL awning. If they've not gone into the XL awning or the Evolve awning, they've come here. So particularly keep an eye on the likes of George Clark. Mason Hibbert as well has looked pretty good so far this season, has had a very, very positive start to his X30, or to his Water Swift 2025 out in Europe. And another addition into the Fusion awning for this year is Austin Newstead, staying in his category, wearing the number 4 as his right from his seeding in last year's championship, and always for me and a driver to keep an eye on, especially on these one-off weekends. If he can pull it all together, can have that little bit of racer's look, he can pull through. Austin Gibson is going to be another driver to keep an eye on. Let's have a very quick chat with Austin. Second year at this level. I'd say the second half of 2024 was a lot stronger than the first half of 2024. Yeah. Do you feel like you're ready to hit the ground running in 2025?
Yeah, I'm ready for it. I hope for the best this year. I think my confidence has got bigger because I've had longer in this class now, so I've had more experience to the car and everything. And I think it's pretty good, the kart setup and everything. Yeah.
And you've got some new teammates to play with as well who've moved into the awning. What's it been like working with them so far?
It's been pretty good. They've been really helpful this year so far. It's been a hard year so far. It's been pretty good though.
What result are we looking at this weekend? Podium?
First place. Yeah, that's what we aim to get. We tried to get the O plate in the road tax. Tried to go for double, but that's not possible anymore. So just try and get the IAME one now.
Good stuff. We'll leave you to it. I hope you get a good night's rest. I should mention Sugmani Kira, whose Kart I don't actually think is around at the moment, but we did briefly see Sugmani a few moments ago. Another driver who's made that big switch from the inter-categories up to junior and has been looking strong so far. Some good finishes out in Europe. Had a decent one here last week for Wilton Mill Kart Club, and is enjoying her time in the junior as well. I had a quick chat with her and her dad out in Valencia a few weeks ago, and the primary thing they were saying is that they were enjoying racing in the X30 Junior. There's the number 2 that we need to keep an eye on. I think Riley Cranham's already tucked himself up in bed, or mentally in bed, getting ready for tomorrow. He's looked very, very cool, calm and collected. We'll try and catch up with him tomorrow. I think that pretty much brings us to a wrap for today of what we've seen. More tomorrow. If you're watching this, I think it's about 8 o'clock or 9 o'clock on the Friday. We have got all the coverage of the heats tomorrow, so that's starting after the lunch break. You can watch that on Alpha Live, you can watch that on Karting UK, you can watch that across your Motorsport UK platforms of choice. And of course we've then got the Super Heats. Really looking forward to the Super Heats on Sunday, and then the finals to decide who are going to be our O-Plate recipients for 2025 in the X30 and Water Swift categories. My name's been Andrew Mather. Thank you for being with me for the last however many minutes this has been. We'll see you all tomorrow.